Title: If your fridge has this, your money could double in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you really looked inside your fridge? Not just to grab food, but to understand what it represents. Because today, I'm not talking about leftovers. I'm not talking about groceries. I'm talking about mindset. You see, the fridge is not just a kitchen appliance. The fridge is a mirror. If your fridge is planning, your money can double. If your fridge has discipline, your future is already changing. If your fridge has intention, 2026 will not be an accident, it will be a result. Think about it. A fridge that's empty usually means poor preparation. A fridge that's full of random junk means impulsive decisions. But a fridge that's organized, labeled, planned, purposeful, that fridge belongs to someone who thinks ahead, and people who think ahead win ahead. The same way you plan your meals is the same way you must plan your money. The same way you avoid waste in your fridge is the same way you must avoid waste in your spending. And the same discipline it takes to say "ill cook" instead of ordering out is the discipline that builds savings, investments, and opportunities. Let me tell you something powerful. Money doesn't grow because you want it to. Money grows because you are ready for it. If your fridge shows patience, consistency, and self-control, then your bank account is next in line. 2026 is not about luck. It's not about trends. It's not about waiting for a miracle. It's about habits. Daily habits, the habits nobody claps for. So the next time you open your fridge, don't just look for food. Look for proof. Proof that you can plan. Proof that you can delay gratification. Proof that you can manage what you already have. Because if you can manage your fridge, you can manage your finances. And if you manage your finances, doubling your money in 2026 won't be a dream. It will be the outcome. Your fridge reflects your mindset. How organized, planned, or chaotic your fridge is mirrors how you manage money in life. When we say your fridge reflects your mindset, we're really talking about the silent habits that shape your life when nobody is watching. A fridge is one of the most honest places in your home. It doesn't lie. It doesn't pretend. It quietly shows how you think, how you prepare, and how you respect what you already have. When you open it, you're looking at the result of dozens of small decisions made over time, and those decisions are driven by mindset. An organized fridge usually belongs to someone who plans ahead. They don't wait until hunger forces them into bad choices. They think about tomorrow while acting today. They know what they'll eat, when they'll eat it, and why it's there. That same thinking carries over into money. People who plan meals tend to plan expenses. They think before they spend. They anticipate future needs instead of reacting to emergencies. That mindset alone separates people who struggle financially from people who steadily grow. On the other hand, a fridge filled with random items, expired food, or impulse purchases tells a different story. It shows a pattern of acting in the moment without thinking long term. Buying food because it looks good right now, then letting it go to waste, is no different from spending money on things that bring temporary excitement but no lasting value. Waste in the fridge often mirrors waste in finances. Not because the person is careless, but because the habit of reflection and intention hasn't been built yet. An empty fridge can also speak volumes. Sometimes it represents a lack of preparation, sometimes a cycle of waiting until things run out before taking action. That same pattern shows up in money when people wait until bills are due, savings are gone, or problems become urgent before making changes. A prepared fridge reduces stress. A prepared financial life does the same. Preparation is not about having more, it's about managing better. The fridge also shows discipline. Discipline is choosing what you need over what you crave in the moment. It's stocking food that fuels you instead of food that just entertains you. It's resisting constant takeout and convenience for something more sustainable. That exact discipline is what allows people to save, invest, and grow wealth. If you can consistently make thoughtful choices about food, you're already practicing the muscle required to make thoughtful choices about money. There's also patience involved. Meals don't appear instantly. They require planning, buying ingredients, and waiting. People who understand this don't expect overnight results. They understand that good things take time. Financial growth works the same way. People who expect quick money often lose it quickly. People who understand slow, steady progress are the ones who see real results over years, not weeks. Even cleanliness matters. A clean fridge shows respect for your environment and your health. That respect often extends to finances. People who care for what they own tend to protect and grow it. They track expenses, notice leaks, and fix small problems before they become disasters. A messy fridge hides problems until they smell. A messy financial life does the same, ignoring issues until they explode. The fridge is also about consistency. You don't stock it once and forget about it forever. You maintain it. You check it, you adjust. That ongoing attention is exactly how wealth is built. Not through one big decision, but through regular check-ins, small corrections, and steady effort. Consistency beats intensity every time. So when we say your fridge reflects your mindset, we're not talking about food at all. We're talking about awareness. We're talking about intention. We're talking about the quiet discipline of managing everyday life. If you can master that in something as simple as a fridge, you already have the foundation for managing money wisely. By 2026, the people who win won't be the loudest or the luckiest. They'll be the ones who practice good habits long before the results showed. And it all starts with recognizing that success leaves clues, even in the most ordinary places. Planning beats luck. Financial growth in 26 comes from preparation and intentional habits, not chance or trends. When we say planning beats luck, we're challenging one of the biggest myths people carry about money and success. Too many people believe that doubling their money, improving their life, or reaching financial freedom depends on the right moment, the right connection, or pure chance. They wait for a breakthrough instead of building a foundation. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. Luck rewards preparation. Without planning, luck usually passes you by unnoticed. Planning is the act of deciding in advance who you want to become and how you want to live. It's choosing direction instead of drifting. When someone plans their life, they stop reacting to circumstances and start shaping them. In money, this means knowing where income goes before it arrives, understanding expenses before they happen, and setting priorities before temptation appears. Planning removes chaos. And chaos is one of the biggest enemies of financial growth. People who rely on luck often live in cycles. They earn, they spend, they struggle, then they hope something changes. When extra money comes in, it disappears just as quickly because there was no plan for it. Bonuses, gifts, and opportunities don't change their situation because nothing was prepared to receive them. Planning, on the other hand, gives money a job. Every dollar has a purpose, and when money has direction, it starts to multiply instead of evaporating. Planning also creates clarity. When you know your goals, decisions become easier. You don't need to debate every purchase or opportunity because you can measure it against your plan. Does this move me closer to where I want to be or further away? That clarity saves money, time, and energy. People without a plan feel busy but unproductive. People with a plan move calmly and consistently even when progress feels slow. Another powerful part of planning is risk management. Life will always bring surprises, but planning softens the impact. Emergency savings, budgets, and long-term strategies don't prevent problems, but they prevent panic. Panic is expensive. Panic leads to bad decisions, debt, and regret. When you plan, you replace panic with confidence. You may not control every outcome, but you control your response, and that makes all the difference. Planning also shifts your mindset from short-term pleasure to long-term gain. It teaches delayed gratification. You learn to say no to things that feel good now so you can say yes to things that matter later. This is where most people struggle because the world rewards impulse. Advertisements, trends, and social pressure all push instant satisfaction. Planning gives you armor against that pressure. It reminds you that today's sacrifice is tomorrow's freedom. People often think planning limits freedom, but the opposite is true. Planning creates freedom. When you know your finances, you're not constantly worried. When you know your direction, you're not easily distracted. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want whenever you want. It comes from having control. Planning is how control is built. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from planning. You don't need to announce your goals or prove anything to anyone. You move differently. You're less emotional about money and more strategic. When others chase trends, you stick to your system. When others complain about circumstances, you adjust your plan. That calm focus compounds over time. By 2026, the people who see real financial growth will not be the ones who guessed right. They'll be the ones who prepared consistently. They'll be the ones who built habits, tracked progress, and made small adjustments along the way. Planning doesn't guarantee success, but it dramatically increases the odds. Luck may open a door, but planning is what allows you to walk through it and stay inside. In the end, planning is a form of self-respect. It's saying your future matters enough to think about today. And when enough days are planned with intention, the results stop looking like luck and start looking like inevitability. Discipline creates wealth. Small daily choices like cooking instead of impulse buying build the discipline that grows money. Discipline is one of the most misunderstood forces behind wealth. People often imagine wealth as the result of big wins, bold risks, or dramatic breakthroughs, but in reality, wealth is built quietly through repeated acts of self-control. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction, it is about alignment. It is choosing actions that support your future rather than impulses that only satisfy the present. And this choice made consistently is what creates lasting financial growth. At its core, discipline is the ability to pause. It is the space between desire and decision. When you feel the urge to spend, discipline asks you to think. When convenience calls, discipline invites you to consider alternatives. This pause may seem small, but it is powerful. Every time you choose intentionally instead of emotionally, you strengthen a habit that compounds over time. Wealth grows not from one disciplined decision, but from thousands of them. Discipline shows up in daily routines. It's choosing to track expenses even when it feels boring. It's sticking to a plan when nobody is watching and nobody is applauding. It's continuing to save or invest even when progress feels slow. These actions don't feel exciting in the moment, but they create momentum. Momentum is what turns effort into results. Without discipline, effort becomes scattered. With discipline, effort becomes focused and effective. One of the biggest ways discipline creates wealth is by protecting you from yourself. Most financial damage doesn't come from lack of income, it comes from unmanaged behavior. Impulse spending, emotional decisions, and short-term thinking quietly drain resources. Discipline acts as a filter. It helps you distinguish between what you want now and what you need later. Over time, this filter becomes automatic, making good financial choices feel natural rather than forced. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a decision, you reinforce the belief that you are capable and reliable. This self-trust is crucial. People who trust themselves are more confident making long-term plans because they believe they can stick to them. People who lack discipline often abandon plans not because the plan was bad, but because consistency was missing. Discipline keeps you moving even when motivation fades. Another important aspect of discipline is resilience. Financial journeys are rarely smooth. There will be setbacks, unexpected expenses, and moments of doubt. Discipline keeps you steady during these times. Instead of quitting or making reckless choices, disciplined people adjust and continue. They understand that one mistake does not define the journey. This ability to stay grounded during challenges prevents small problems from becoming long-term failures. Discipline also teaches patience, which is essential for wealth. Real financial growth takes time. Investments compound slowly. Skills develop gradually. Opportunities often reward those who are prepared long before they appear. Discipline allows you to wait without frustration. It helps you stay committed to the process even when results are invisible. Those who lack discipline often give up right before progress begins. There is also freedom hidden inside discipline. While it may seem restrictive on the surface, discipline actually expands your options. When your finances are under control, you have choices. You can say no to opportunities that don't align with your goals. You can handle emergencies without panic. You can plan for the future with confidence instead of fear. Discipline reduces stress and replaces it with stability. Over time, disciplined actions compound in the same way interest does. Small savings grow into security. Smart decisions create room for bigger opportunities. What once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like empowerment. This is why discipline is not just a tool for wealth, but a foundation for peace of mind. By the time 2026 arrives, the people who experience financial growth won't necessarily be the most talented or the most fortunate. They will be the ones who practiced discipline when it mattered least, stayed consistent when progress felt slow, and chose long-term gain over short-term comfort. Discipline may not be flashy, but it is dependable. And in the world of money, dependability is what turns effort into wealth. Habits determine outcomes. Consistent, unnoticed habits matter more than big, flashy moves when it comes to financial success. Habits are the invisible architecture of your life. Long before outcomes show up in your bank account or your lifestyle, they are being shaped quietly by what you do every day without thinking. Most people focus on goals, but goals are just destinations. Habits are the vehicles that get you there. When it comes to money, habits matter more than talent, intelligence, or even opportunity, because they determine what you do consistently, not what you intend to do occasionally. Financial success rarely comes from dramatic actions. It comes from repeated behavior. The way you spend, save, think, and react to money on a daily basis creates patterns. These patterns either work for you or against you. Someone who regularly checks their finances, plans ahead, and makes thoughtful decisions may not feel wealthy in the moment, but over time those habits compound. Someone who ignores small expenses, avoids planning, and reacts emotionally may feel fine today, but the consequences quietly build. One of the most powerful things about habits is that they reduce friction. Once a habit is formed, it no longer requires constant motivation. You don't need to argue with yourself every time you act, you simply follow the routine. This is why habits are more reliable than willpower. Willpower fluctuates. Habits persist. When good financial habits are in place, progress continues even on days when you feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. Habits also shape identity. What you repeatedly do becomes part of how you see yourself. A person who saves regularly starts to identify as someone who is responsible with money. A person who invests consistently begins to see themselves as a long-term thinker. This identity shift is crucial because people tend to act in ways that align with who they believe they are. When your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally. Bad habits work the same way, but in reverse. Small, seemingly harmless actions like frequent impulse purchases or ignoring financial details don't feel dangerous at first. But over time, they create instability. The danger of bad habits is not that they cause immediate failure, but that they delay awareness. Problems grow quietly until they become difficult to ignore. By then, the effort required to fix them is much greater than the effort it would have taken to build better habits in the first place. Another key aspect of habits is that they are predictable. Outcomes can be traced back to routines. If someone's financial life feels chaotic, it's usually because their habits are inconsistent. If someone's finances feel stable, it's because their habits provide structure. This predictability is empowering. It means you don't need to guess what your future will look like. If you observe your current habits, you are already looking at your future in progress. Habits also protect you from emotional decision-making. Money is deeply emotional for many people. Fear, excitement, comparison, and pressure all influence behavior. Strong habits act as guardrails. They keep you moving in the right direction even when emotions run high. Instead of reacting to every feeling or external influence, you rely on systems you've already put in place. This stability is what allows long-term progress. Changing habits is not about perfection, it's about consistency. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to see results. Small improvements repeated daily create momentum. Skipping a habit once doesn't break it. Giving up to the people who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who return to their habits quickly after a setback. By 2026, the gap between people who focused on habits and those who focused only on motivation will be obvious. Motivation fades. Habits remain. The individuals who build quiet, consistent routines will see results that look impressive from the outside but felt ordinary while they were being built. In the end, habits are the bridge between intention and reality. They turn ideas into actions and actions into outcomes. When your habits are aligned with your goals, success becomes less about effort and more about inevitability. Managing what you have is the most overlooked principle of growth. Many people believe progress begins when they earn more, receive more, or are given better opportunities. They postpone responsibility until their situation improves, assuming that abundance will naturally lead to better behavior. In reality, the opposite is true. The ability to manage what you already have is what qualifies you for more. Growth responds to stewardship, not wishes. When someone cannot manage small amounts of money, time, or resources, larger amounts only magnify the problem. Extra income doesn't fix poor habits, it exposes them. This is why people who receive sudden financial boosts often find themselves back where they started. The issue was never the amount, it was the management. Learning to control, track, and respect what you have creates a foundation strong enough to support growth. Management begins with awareness. You cannot improve what you do not observe. Knowing where your money goes, how your time is spent, and how resources are used is a powerful step. Awareness brings clarity, and clarity brings control. When you understand your patterns, you can make intentional adjustments instead of reacting blindly. This awareness turns chaos into structure. Another important part of management is responsibility. Taking ownership of your current situation, regardless of how it came to be, is empowering. Blame keeps you stuck, but responsibility gives you leverage. When you accept that your actions influence outcomes, you regain control. This mindset shift is essential for growth because it moves you from waiting for change to creating it. Managing what you have also teaches prioritization. Limited resources force you to decide what truly matters. When you manage well, you allocate energy and money to what aligns with your goals instead of scattering them on distractions. This focus prevents waste. Waste is not just about losing money, it's about losing potential. Every misused resource is a missed opportunity for progress. Consistency is another key element of management. It's not enough to organize once and then forget. Management is an ongoing process. Regular check-ins, adjustments, and evaluations keep things aligned. This consistency builds stability, and stability creates room for growth. When your foundation is stable, you can take calculated risks without jeopardizing everything you've built. Managing well also builds confidence. When you know you can handle what you have, you trust yourself with more. This confidence changes how you approach opportunities. You become more strategic, less desperate. Instead of chasing every chance, you choose wisely. This selectivity often leads to better outcomes because your decisions are intentional, not rushed. Another benefit of management is resilience. Life will always bring challenges, but good management cushions the impact. Emergency funds, organized systems, and clear priorities reduce stress during difficult times. Instead of panicking, you respond. This ability to remain steady under pressure protects long-term progress and prevents setbacks from becoming disasters. There is also a deeper lesson in management: respect. How you treat what you have reflects how you value yourself and your future. Respecting your resources means using them wisely, maintaining them, and growing them over time. This respect attracts more responsibility and more opportunity because it signals readiness. By 2026, the people who experience significant growth will not necessarily be those who started with the most. They will be the ones who manage their resources with care, discipline, and intention. They will be the ones who proved day after day that they could handle what was placed in their hands. In the end, doubling what you have is not about magic or timing. It is about mastery. Mastery of habits, awareness, responsibility, and consistency. When you manage what you have well, growth becomes a natural next step rather than a distant hope. Manage what you have to multiply it. If you can manage your food, spending, and resources wisely, doubling your money becomes realistic. Managing what you have is the most overlooked principle of growth. Many people believe progress begins when they earn more, receive more, or are given better opportunities. They postpone responsibility until their situation improves, assuming that abundance will naturally lead to better behavior. In reality, the opposite is true. The ability to manage what you already have is what qualifies you for more. Growth responds to stewardship, not wishes. When someone cannot manage small amounts of money, time, or resources, larger amounts only magnify the problem. Extra income doesn't fix poor habits, it exposes them. This is why people who receive sudden financial boosts often find themselves back where they started. The issue was never the amount, it was the management. Learning to control, track, and respect what you have creates a foundation strong enough to support growth. Management begins with awareness. You cannot improve what you do not observe. Knowing where your money goes, how your time is spent, and how resources are used is a powerful step. Awareness brings clarity, and clarity brings control. When you understand your patterns, you can make intentional adjustments instead of reacting blindly. This awareness turns chaos into structure. Another important part of management is responsibility. Taking ownership of your current situation, regardless of how it came to be, is empowering. Blame keeps you stuck, but responsibility gives you leverage. When you accept that your actions influence outcomes, you regain control. This mindset shift is essential for growth because it moves you from waiting for change to creating it. Managing what you have also teaches prioritization. Limited resources force you to decide what truly matters. When you manage well, you allocate energy and money to what aligns with your goals instead of scattering them on distractions. This focus prevents waste. Waste is not just about losing money, it's about losing potential. Every misused resource is a missed opportunity for progress. Consistency is another key element of management. It's not enough to organize once and then forget. Management is an ongoing process. Regular check-ins, adjustments, and evaluations keep things aligned. This consistency builds stability, and stability creates room for growth. When your foundation is stable, you can take calculated risks without jeopardizing everything you've built. Managing well also builds confidence. When you know you can handle what you have, you trust yourself with more. This confidence changes how you approach opportunities. You become more strategic, less desperate. Instead of chasing every chance, you choose wisely. This selectivity often leads to better outcomes because your decisions are intentional, not rushed. Another benefit of management is resilience. Life will always bring challenges, but good management cushions the impact. Emergency funds, organized systems, and clear priorities reduce stress during difficult times. Instead of panicking, you respond. This ability to remain steady under pressure protects long-term progress and prevents setbacks from becoming disasters. There is also a deeper lesson in management: respect. How you treat what you have reflects how you value yourself and your future. Respecting your resources means using them wisely, maintaining them, and growing them over time. This respect attracts more responsibility and more opportunity because it signals readiness. By 2026, the people who experience significant growth will not necessarily be those who started with the most. They will be the ones who manage their resources with care, discipline, and intention. They will be the ones who proved day after day that they could handle what was placed in their hands. In the end, doubling what you have is not about magic or timing. It is about mastery. Mastery of habits, awareness, responsibility, and consistency. When you manage what you have well, growth becomes a natural next step rather than a distant hope.